while you were in the car, did you think then I'm paralyzed or I'm like, did you think that?
No, not at all. I mean, even, I still don't think I'm paralyzed. It's a little bit weird, and I'm very stubborn, and I don't know, maybe it's a bit too thick-headed. But for me, I've never looked at myself as being paralyzed. The only time, funny enough, that I do feel paralyzed is when I fall out of the wheelchair or I'm on the floor and I have to sort of crawl to the wheelchair or crawl somewhere to get back into the wheelchair. Over the recent years, that's changed a bit, because the more gym I do, the stronger I am, the easier it is to get off a position into the floor, back into the wheelchair. But the only time I do sort of feel a bit paralyzed is when I'm on the floor. Even in a wheelchair, you don't kind of feel paralyzed because you're still quite mobile. You can push the chair around and you can move. I can jump on and off furniture. I can jump in and out of a car. And I can obviously stand with a walking frame and walk. So I remember being in rehab. I was in rehab for about 3 months, for the spinal injury. And I remember the one morning, another guy who was a paraplegic, we went to the gym in the morning, and we were allowed to train in the gym before anyone got there. And as we went through to train into the gym, our names were all on the board in the office where we went to get the keys for the gym. And my name was up there, and I was listed as a quadriplegic. And I thought, huh? That's weird. Quadriplegic. That's like means you can't do anything. Yeah. I'm not a quadriplegic. What are they on about? And it was just a little bit of a shocker that they'd sort of. And I remember saying to the other guy, dude, they've listed me as a quadriplegic. That's not right. So I've always thought that I would be able to walk. I'd never lost the sort of belief that I'd be able to walk. And I still, 17 years this year, I still believe that one day I'll walk without the walking frame.
Wow.
I don't know why. I believe it one day will just happen. I'll get stronger, and I don't know. Maybe it's stubborn, and they say that, you live in denial, and it's one of the things that with any major trauma, they say that denial is a big thing, that you're going to go through all those stages, the depression, I won't say I haven't been depressed, but I get more angry than anything else, and then I feel guilty for being angry because I'm lucky in comparison to so many people. And I do realize how incredibly lucky I am. I drove here this morning to speak to you. I go to gym 3 days a week on my own, in my own car. I still have a job that's not affected at all by this injury. As long as I've got a telephone and I can talk, I can do my job. So I wasn't a mechanic that suddenly couldn't get to work, or a bus driver, or whatever the case was. Although we didn't have medical aid, we had access to money. So we were able to get decent medical care and pay for what we needed. A lot of people can't. And I know how lucky that is. And then I had a house that was wheelchair accessible. We made very, very slight modifications, and I could get around the house. And I had an incredible family and incredible support, and a girlfriend at the time was stupid enough to marry me, which I think she still regrets. I gave her the opportunity to leave at the time, and she missed her opportunity. So she stuck with me now, and I was lucky enough to have a great support team. And I always believe that the people around you are way, way more affected by this than the person that has the injury. They've got to always. You can have a meltdown whenever you want, because you've suffered a traumatic injury, and if you decide you want to have a meltdown, people kind of understand. However, the people around you are there to hide. They hide their emotion because they're trying to be brave and be strong for you. And I always believe it's way more harder for like your parents and your other half and your siblings and your friends. I mean, a lot of people couldn't visit me in the hospital. They just couldn't see me in a wheelchair, and they couldn't bring themselves to accept it, and just disappeared out of my life because they, you know, for them it was too much to accept. That you know, seeing other people were as normal as they'd ever been and treated me the same as they'd ever treated me, but strangers treat you totally differently. Totally differently. You know, people I used to see in the gym I used to train 5 days a week in the gym before the accident, and people I would see on a regular basis, that we've always been brought up to be polite and greet people. So if I see you 5 days a week in the gym, as I walk past you, I say hello, and I don't have to have a conversation with you. I just nod my head and say hello because you're a familiar face. I've seen you every day, and that be you a man or woman, a young, it doesn't matter. The people I saw regularly, I'd always greet. And I found some of the people were quite weird, quite offish at sort of saying hello or whatever. And the moment I had the accident, their attitude changed. People were all over you and inquisitive, and I think because maybe they felt guilty for staring at you, and then all of a sudden, because you'd seen them stare at you, they suddenly had to come over and ask you something. You know, but you certainly get treated totally differently. You know, being in a wheelchair or whatever the case is.
Funny, so,